My name is Jaden Taylor, and today we're going to explore a popular programming tool called GitHub, which doubles as both a programming portfolio to show potential employers, as well as a place to organize company work and programs. In this video, we're specifically focused on how it helps company work be organized.
So here we are at my GitHub portfolio or homepage. If you don't have a GitHub account set up, pause the video and go ahead and set up an account and then continue the video from here. Anyways, once we're here, we can go to Your Organizations up here. And then here are the different companies that you may work with, different teams, etc. So let's click on Record Linking Lab. Now in here we have a bunch of repositories. Repositories are basically just large projects that are put together that do a number of things. For example, you could have a repository that deals with all the front end of a website. You could have a repository that deals with the database, pulling info from the database, etc. Some companies like us, we have 22 repositories, which is a lot. Other companies like Google pride themselves on only having one giant monolithic repository. But let's look into some. So here we have Data Finder, and you'll notice there's a README file, which is just the overview of a repository. And then we have datafinder.py. This is actual code inside the repository, actual scripts. And you can go to here, check out other scripts. We've got some PID functions, etc. So these are just Python scripts or files. Let's check out another repository, completely different project. And this one only has a README file. You'll notice that there's this button, which is really important. This button shows all of the branches inside of a repository. So let's say you go and click on dev. Here we have that same README file, but there's a bunch of JSON files here. You can click on source, and there's other front-end files here. So the question is, what are branches? Branches are just different versions of the same repository. There are multiple ways of using branches, but this is just one of the ways. First off, we have the master branch, which is the production branch, or what goes live, what most customers or clients or users will see. And then we have the development branch, which is a test case that's used within a local environment to see if new features will work before being pushed to master. Lastly, we have individual branches. Sometimes this can be small teams or just a single programmer, depending on the size of your company. They have individual tasks that they're working on. For example, fix filter bug. Let's say there's a broken function that has a bug with it, whatever. That person will fix that bug within that small branch. And once they're done, they can push their changes to dev. Changes will get reviewed. And eventually, when there's a good production of dev, it'll get pushed to master. Now, in some cases, there's a beta, which is a secondary version that's live. Master and beta are usually the live ones, while dev or other individual branches are not live.
Have you ever played a game or used a website and they had something called beta mode? That's likely because they have deployed the beta version of the repository instead of the production or main version. For example, even GitHub does it.
If you go back to the home page on GitHub and scroll down here, you'll notice that there's these achievements buttons, and it says beta right here, meaning that GitHub is testing these out to see how customers or users may like it, and then push that to the main or production branch if things go well.
Now you probably see why branches can be useful. They allow multiple versions of the same repository. They allow programmers to work on an individual task so they don't interfere with other programmers. And another big reason is preventing devastating mistakes from happening on the live version of your repository. For example, let's say you accidentally uninstalled important packages or made a big mess with the code, creating a dumpster fire. Now, if this was on an individual branch, we can simply delete the individual branch and create a new branch off of the already working branches.
So how do we actually write code inside of a repository? Technically, you can go inside of a repository, click on a file, and then click this edit button, but that is bad practice. A better way of doing it is in an IDE or development environment. So in this case, we're going to use Visual Studio Code. Open that up, and you'll notice this button called Source Control, which allows you to clone a repository directly from GitHub. So if we go back to Data Finder, and we click this code button right here, you'll notice it says clone, which allows you to copy this link and clone it into your IDE. So we'll go ahead and paste that, and it asks you where you want to store it. I'll store it in the work file. Once that's done, you can open it, and you'll notice that it has the same exact code in which you can edit. Sometimes companies will have requirements.txt, which requires you to create a virtual environment and install this, but we'll go over that in a different video. Anyways, from here, you can notice this little button down here that says master. If you click on it, it'll show you all the other branches that are attached to this repository. So you can go ahead and click on development branch, and it'll take you to the development branch. And if you want to switch back, you can switch back to master branch. So now it's time to create a branch and work on that rather than the master. So what we do is we come back here and we click back on this branch thing. Let's type in a name that we want to name our branch. Let's say Yummy. You'll notice it says create branch Yummy from master. Oftentimes, we don't want to create a branch directly from master. Usually we want to do it from the development environment. So we click on development branch first, and then as we type Yummy up here, you'll notice it says create branch Yummy from dev. Now in our case, we actually have a bug that we need to fix, which is append folder function. So we're going to call it append folder. And we go ahead and create this branch. So now updated, there are 12 branches. Now if I want to access that over here, there's actually something I need to do. By opening up terminal, and I don't like PowerShell, so we're going to use git bash. Anyways, going here, we can do what's called a pull. Because this does not automatically sync up, you have to do a git pull in order to sync up changes with GitHub. You'll notice that it just pulled this change. It says we just created append folder branch. There's two ways to actually get to this append folder. Like we said before, you can click on here and find it right here. Or you can do git checkout append folder, which changes you into the append folder branch. Now let's go up here to manipulate functions. And here's our function that we're working on. Let's say I'm working on it and I add a comment. Normally there would be more than just comments, you could actually write code, but let's just do that for this example. We go ahead and save the changes. And now you'll see that there's this one button right next to the source control. This is asking you to commit the changes to GitHub. And so we can say adding a comment. And then commit, yes, commit them directly, and then sync changes. So once that's done, we can now go back over here into the append folder, and let's go into that same place that we were just at. So if we go to manipulate functions, append folder, you'll notice it says sun comment here. And this is just specifically inside this branch. If we go to master branch and we open up the same folder, you'll notice it does not have that comment.
That's it for now. There's a lot more on GitHub to explore, but those are just the basics. So, good luck and have fun programming.
Get up off of that thing and dance to you.